This is the last day. This is my favourite lecture because I don't have to say anything. It's all up to you guys. You just have to come here and present. There's a few things I want to say just before we start. First of all, just we were sort of talking last night. The workload that you've had this week has been incredible. You've had 6 hours of lectures each day. You've had to prepare submissions, written and oral, on a case that is genuinely difficult. It's a real Jessup case. It's as complex as a Jessup case is. And the fact that you're able to work with this in 4 days with the help of your mentors, and that you'll be able to complete it on Saturday, is a really incredible achievement. You don't need to worry about getting everything right. You don't need to worry about everything going perfectly, about getting every correct answer, being able to answer every question. That's not the point of the Jessup Summer School, at least as I understand it. It's just to give you an introduction into this thing that we call the Jessup. And whether you're competing this year, or you compete in the future, or even if you just take what you've learned this week sort of into your further career or your further education, the hope is just that you've learned something from it. And you'll have, I forwarded to Lena my slides, and you'll have the videos from sometime next week of the lectures. If everything hasn't clicked together, honestly, don't stress about it. It's really great to see so many people here wanting to take part in this, and I just hope that you've all learned at least something from it. If you can all take away something from at least one of the lectures this week or one of the experiences, then that's great. So, on that point, how many of you have done public speaking before? Show of hands. Or how many of you, right, okay. So, only a few of you, okay, about half. You had yesterday was the soft skills on speaking, correct? Did you find that helpful? Was it good? Okay. What did the guy teach you out of interest? What were some of the things?
Gesture, how to feel fluid when you're speaking, how to convince people in what you're saying.
Okay, good. Those are excellent Jessup skills. You can take them as, if yesterday's lecture was all about how the law actually works, but that's a relatively small part of the Jessup, then yesterday's thing is how you lie and how you still get high scores even if you have no idea what you're saying. So if you can combine those two skills in some way, then you'll be fine. So today, what's going to happen? You've all hopefully prepared something to talk about. We'll have 2 minutes. Sergey put it at a good point yesterday when I asked him a question. He was sat at the back of the room and he couldn't hear me. So I'm going to sit at the back of the room. You're going to have to project your voice. There will be a microphone, which I haven't had on all week. There'll be a microphone, but you'll still need to be loud. So that will be your first test, to see if you can project your voice. I'll be keeping time, and I'll show you when there's 1 minute left to speak, and that's when questions will start. And then I'll show you a stop sign when you need to stop. This is really just, again, you don't need to stress about this. This is just to give you the experience of standing in front of a room of people and talking about a subject that you're knowledgeable in. I mean, that's really what to take from this. Obviously, we've been focusing hard on the Jessup and what the content of the Jessup is and how we actually work with international law. But at the end of the day, what the oral rounds are is you standing and explaining a topic that you've been reading about for a year to people who are interested to hear about that. So that's hopefully what today's experience will be for you. You all know this topic, the topic you've picked, better than I will, certainly, and probably better than anyone else in the audience. And you just need to show us your knowledge in 2 minutes. So, as you say, everyone is invited to ask questions after the minute mark, but I will have a microphone, so that will maybe help. But if anyone wants to shout out questions from the minute mark on, that's up to them. Don't be afraid of this, it'll be fun, honestly. Does anyone have any questions before we actually start about the content of this, how it works? You all look a little bit nervous, okay? What I'm going to recommend is that, what's the easiest way to do this? We're going to start from the back rows, because that's where people hide, so you're going to start first. What I want you to do is for 3 of you to come down and sit in this front row, and what we'll try and do is, as one person comes up, someone from the back comes down, and then we have some sort of cycling method so that we're not moving entire rows. If that turns out to be a nightmare, then we'll do something else, but let's just try this for now. So there's 2 of you in the very back row. You're definitely down. And the girls standing up, you're also down. You're the first 3 because the 3 of you are stood in the line, so you can all come down and be your first 3, if that's okay.
We are volunteers.
Oh, sorry, my apologies. Okay, so you have one at the back then. You're not a volunteer, you are coming down. And then who's in the next? So there's 3 in the next row, so you need to, well, there's 2, okay. The 3 of you. 3 of you.
Don't you want you to be the first who will present?
Me to be the first?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not prepared anything, but I can talk about, okay, I can talk about a subject for 2 minutes. This feels like I suddenly had the tables turned on me. I wasn't supposed to be doing anything today. What can I talk about for 2 minutes? Can someone keep time on this? If someone, who's a volunteer, can I have a volunteer keep time and show me a minute mark? And I will try. Okay, this is fun. I should have seen this coming. Okay, well, yeah. Okay, let's try this. Are you keeping time? You've engineered this. This is cool. Okay, so if someone keep time on their watch, on their phone, okay, and have you got a 1 minute time? Are you used to that? Cool. So if you all keep an eye out, when the 1 minute comes up, you can start asking me questions. Okay, so you think of a topic, hang on. I'm aware that I've been talking for 2 hours this week, so really I should be able to talk for 2 minutes, but that's much harder than it sounds. Okay, I'll talk about how I got started in Jessup. That seems easy. So you know the topic. So, okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Iain Scobbie, and I'm here today to talk to you about my Jessup experience. So when I started at the University of Helsinki, I was told that they had a number of moot court teams: Jessup, Telders, the ICC. And to be honest, I wasn't interested. I wasn't interested in participating at all. I thought I would try out and see how competitive it was to get into the competition. And then I was accepted to the Jessup team and was told that that involved a free flight to Washington, DC. Couldn't turn that down. So I decided to take part. And from that point on, the last 3 years has been absolutely subsumed by this competition. I have been a competitor, I've been a judge, I've been a coach, and the Jessup has honestly given me more practical skills that I've been able to use throughout my career and throughout my education. We're now at the 1 minute mark, so if anyone has questions, please fire away. The Jessup teaches you how to organise your mind, organise your research skills, organise your timekeeping. It gives you the skills to speak in front of people for a determined amount of time, hopefully on a topic that you've prepared rather than one that you're making up on the fly. The Jessup has yes, you can just shout the questions out. But.
Which role in Jessup did you enjoy the most?
I definitely enjoy being a competitor. No, a judge. I like the power of being a judge. I don't want to scare you all, but being a judge is really fun. Being able to ask the questions that you actually want to hear answered is much more fun than being the one who has to answer the questions. And that is why the Jessup is so useful, to be able to learn how to talk on the fly and answer questions. Those are skills that no other experience in law school will teach you. I'd like to thank you for listening today, and now open up the floor to my other colleagues to speak, all 28 of you. Okay, that was harder than I expected. So that's a good sign. You've seen how I've struggled with that. Now you all have to blow me away. So what we're going to do, if we have 3 people sit in these chairs, and then we'll cycle round. That to me seems like the most sensible way. You've now moved into the front row, so you can avoid being you've moved. You don't get out of it. You have to go first. This is the deal. I had to go, and then we have two in the back there. Yourself and yourself. You're next down. If you can come down to the front. Hello.
Question, whether we should stop when the first minute is over, or we should continue and just wait for the questions?
Just continue through.
Ah, okay.
You don't stop in a minute, but when the stop sign comes up, you have to stop immediately. Because that's how it would work in the Jessup. When you run out of time, you stop immediately, and then the judge can decide to give you extra time. What you might want to say is, I can see my time has run out, may I complete my sentence? And I will probably say yes. This should be fun, honestly. Just stand in front, talk to people, it'll be a laugh. So, can I get the three of you into this front row, or just see this seems like the easiest way to cycle them? We have a microphone. I don't know if this is on. Is that coming through, or is that working?
No, one second. See, right.
Is it? Oh, there's a light. Okay, cool. So now you can hear that a little bit. Is that good? Okay, what was it?
Работает?
Oh.
Не надо говорить вот так, вот так, вот так. Надо говорить вот так. Может быть, чуть нагибаться. Вот так.
You can see we were very prepared for today. Is that easier? Or? Oh, that may be easier. Okay. So someone wants to take, yeah, you can take the next one. Give us your best Morrissey impression. Okay, firstly up, I'm now moving to the back of the room. I'm rescinding my position as teacher. You guys have to start teaching me about what you've all prepared in 2 minutes. Really don't stress about this. Actually, I should get a notepad. Yeah, if you want to go up. And if you have another 2 down at the front, or another 3 down at the front, just to start cycling through. Someone wants to volunteer, if we're going to have to go that way, before I start forcing people. Someone, anyone?
1, 2. Yeah.
Okay, we need...
Wait for my sign and follow my...
Okay, we'll just do this one by one then. That's fine?
Good morning, everybody. I'm very happy to be here at the second Jessup Summer School. My name is Sofia Sinator, and I'm going to present some facts about the International Court of Justice. As you know, this year Ukraine has submitted an application to the International Court of Justice concerning the violation from the side of Russian Federation concerning the case violation of International Convention for the Suppression of Financing Terrorism, ICS 15. However, on the preliminary judgment, the court said there were no undeniable evidences that Ukraine didn't submit. So, first of all, I would like to prove that there is terroristic acts. Thank you. There is terroristic acts on, yes?
Which terroristic acts took place?
Well, first of all, what is terrorism? According to the Article 2b of the International Convention for the Suppression of Financing Terrorism, terrorism is an act intended to cause death or serious bodily injury to a civilian when the purpose of such act is to compel the government to do something. So, the word terrorist in
How do you assess the perspectives in this case decided by this?
of this, what are the perspectives?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your question. The court said that if Ukraine will submit evidences that will be undeniable, it will be great, and we can win this case in the International Court of Justice. Thank you for your attention. It was a pleasure.
So I should have said I'll give comments, just some brief comments once you're done, so that you have, and then maybe try and sum up at the end. That was really great. Thank you for other people asking questions. This is going to make my day much easier. Yeah, that was confident. It was great. You welcomed the questions. The only thing I would say is that when you got your first question, your pace sped up a little bit, and it just shows that it's absolutely normal. But that's something to just watch. And I think your second question was better when you said, "Thank you for the question. You took time to think about how you're going to answer it." And then your pacing was much better, but that was excellent. So yeah, well done. Next up, we're going to start going from the back. There's a map to my left here. You're next up. Can't avoid it. We're all friends here. Don't worry.
So may I start? So guys, as you know, my name is Yuri Budenko, and I'm very glad to be here before all of you and to represent one of the important questions in issue of the ICG is that a principle of equity. The principle of equity is a legal body which includes rules and norms in order to supplement, override, or to support the rigid and narrow system of the law. The main problem is the ICG, as International Court of Justice, or also named as the World Court, didn't use actually this principle of equity. There are a lot of types of equity. First, it's equity of infra legem. Equity infra legem exists in order to support interpretation of the international treaties as first. Moreover, it exists in order to adopt the facts to the law. Yes.
Can you please translate what's infra legem?
Infra legem actually in Latin means in order to supplement, in order to support the interpretation of the treaty. But actually, there is no exact interpretation by the judge between the judges. So,
In which cases the court may apply?
the principle of equity may apply by the court in the cases when the norm of law or treaties doesn't exist. So there is no any treaty or custom or another source of law. So according to the, for example, Iron Incorporation versus the USA in German tribunal, there was a problem. When the tribunal used this principle of equity because there wasn't any norm of law. And this principle of equity...
You may finish your sentence.
and this principle of equity, also named as contra legem, overrides the norm of law. It means that if the norm of law is injustice, the justice is prevailed. So thank you guys.
Yep, you're so confident. That was really great, and you did a good job. That was something that we didn't talk about, but if the judge gives you a final sentence, making sure that you end on your point, and that's exactly what you did. You managed to use that final sentence to sum up your entire argument. It was really great. Yeah, well done. You're all, I mean, we've listened to people so far, but you're all so much more confident than I was when I started mooting, so honestly, this is great. Next down the row, to my right, there's a man here, I think you're next. There's nothing to worry about, man, honestly. Just something that you know about. I mean, you'll be better than me.
Good morning, my name is Alexander. I will not be as specific as my colleagues. I would like to talk about the names of state actors in our compromise for this Jessup Summer School. And personally, I was surprised with deep knowledge of the author of the compromise about those fantasy universes, those universe of Warcraft, Starcraft, Game of Thrones, and also other universes that are popular among gamers around our planet. There is a specific link between the characteristics of those characters in those universes and their role in our economy. For example, Arcturus Mengs was very
That's a 1 minute.
was an aggressive. Yes.
Why do you think the writers of the compromise use, for example, the characters from the films or from the series? What they want to, what's their goal?
Could you please clarify your question?
I mean the main goal of the writers of the memorial while using the characters from the films.
I think that there is no specific goal, but it is a specific point that took my attention, and I would like to stress, to emphasize on this aspect in my speech.
Close enough to 2 minutes. That was great. I did tell you that it didn't have to be legal, so that's exactly. I was wanting some more interesting speeches. That was brilliant. You didn't have any notes, and you were able to talk confidently about that for 2 minutes. The most impressive thing that you did when you were asked the question and you hadn't understood it, the fact that you asked the judge to rephrase the question so that you could answer them properly. That's a really important skill. So many competitors just answer what they think the question is, and then the judge just gets annoyed because it's not what they wanted to hear. But you made sure that you'd heard the question correctly and that you were answering it exactly as what was asked of you. So that was really good.
Honestly, I just didn't hear properly what I said.
That's also a perfectly acceptable answer, but it's exactly the way to deal with those sorts of issues. So yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. People can. Yeah, so I think we're into the next row now. Starting from the right, we'll do a snake shape. If you're, you're next. And apparently I'm now getting a microphone even though I'm not asking any questions, so be.
One, two. Do you hear me?
Just try and speak loudly, it'll be easier than bending down, I think. Sometimes you have a microphone. Yeah.
Hi everyone. May I please second Jessup Summer School. My name is and right now I'm going to present my experience of being involved in Jessup. So after coming from last summer trip, I was very confused about what should I do with my life. And Jessup was that very thing that changed my life directly and for the rest of my life, I guess. And in this room there is a person who helped me to define what I want from my life and what I'm really in love and interested in. This is Natalia Subotina, and I want to applaud for her. So thank you very much. I was absolutely horrified with Jessup. I was frustrated with the amount of work I should do, but when I stood before the bench, I realized that I'm absolutely happy. So you can, I see that my time is short, so if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. Okay.
So what was your motivation to take it at Jessup?
First of all, and I don't really like that motivation I had for the first time. I wanted to have opportunity for my future profession. And when I was involved in that, I realized that I just love what I'm doing. And I want to encourage everyone,
My apologies. What would you like your future profession to be?
Can you please speak up?
Oh, what would you? I'm just not using that. What would you like your future profession to be? What would you like to work as?
Thank you. Actually, I want to be a successful lawyer here in Ukraine, and half a year ago I just started to work as a paralegal, and this is because of Jessup, and thanks to Jessup, and I really want to thank everybody who started this in Ukraine, so we got that opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to try and use the microphone. Is this loud enough, or is it weird? I have to shout and do this. That was great. You should be a politician. You speak like you're at a press conference. I mean that in a good way, not in a bad way. Politician. No, that was brilliant. You kept good track of your time, and you were very nice to the audience and the bench, so that always helps if you're friendly. Yeah, that was really great.
Thank you.
And it's good to hear that the Jessup Summer School has this kind of effect on people. That's, I'm sure that's nice for everyone you're organising things. Thank you.
Thanks everybody.
I responded when you're the bad guy. If you are stood in front of them and you're smiling, it's much harder for them to be really cruel to you. So the more friendly you can appear, the more open you can appear. That's great. Okay, as you just reinforced, when you get the finger on the right of the stage, that means you've got 1 minute left. It's not a question. I think just we've had that stuff as well a couple of times. Okay.
Hello everybody, my name is Karina Pascal and I'm a Chernihiv girl and a Ukrainian girl. I would like to share with you what a blogging is, because we will have time to speak on law, ICJ and etc. things. It's important to be a good blogger today, not just to post some things on your website, but to inspire people. I think the main purpose of my blog, because I try to do such things, is to inspire people by what? By traveling, by showing people some interesting places in Ukraine, not only in the whole world, because Ukraine is such a rich country in some various things, not only in some architectural buildings, but also in culture, in some traditions, in how people are here, and I like to share with the world what Ukraine is. Also, I think that blogger can inspire. Yeah, please.
What would be the first place you would show a foreigner who is coming to Ukraine?
That was my question, so that's...
Sorry, the question is like from Ukraine, what I show first?
Yes,
An Ukrainian
place to show.
I can't remember because I work hardly on this, because I really want to show Ukraine what it is inside, not like politically. And I want to advise you to visit Chernihiv University, because it's a pillar of our city. It's very beautiful and it is associated with Harvard University, like Oxford. You can see it and just be out in that atmosphere of those times. Some other questions? Also, I think that we have to inspire also, to be inspired by them and to enjoy their job, what they do. Thank you for your attention.
That was great. You're all really confident. This is incredible. You have a very good way of standing, and that sounds strange, but you look like you know what you're doing and you're confident, and the way you sort of use your hands is very good. Yeah, that was really great. Another round of applause again. If I can give one sort of another general comment that's come up, try not to ask for questions. Try and fill the 2 minutes and use the questions when they start coming to structure what the remainder of your speech is. So don't expect the second minute just to be questions, but more that the questions should lead you to whatever your conclusion eventually is. Yes, let's get started with another one.
Hello everyone, my name is and today I'm here to share with you with a very important and I would say a very useful tool. I will talk about the sleeping criteria which can help us to move and to be more effective as students. This sleeping tool is called Sleep. Thus, first I will tell you about the core of the Sleep, and secondly I will tell you about the advantages of this Sleep. So what is the Sleep for us? This is a technique which was firstly implemented in America, which allows us to divide our 24 hours day per 6 items. For each item, you will sleep for 20 minutes, and thus you will come to the result that you will be sleeping only for 2 hours every single day. That may sound fantastic, but nonetheless, it was approved by the American psychologist that for a period of 2 months, it's quite possible to implement such a strategy in your own life.
Counsel, what if you have a Jessup cleaning that's longer than 20 minutes? Will you just take a nap under the desk, or how would you get around the problems of that?
The actual thing about the sleeping is that you sleep for 20 minutes each 4 hours. Thus, you should sleep either before cleaning or after, right after before you outside.
Are there any side effects in this strategy?
Yes, it was proved that the male persons are much more dedicated to use this strategy, as long as the women, they are not that eligible, as long as we're too emotionally just to let and to fall asleep at once. Thus, if male wants to sleep and it's needed to sleep by schedule, they just go and fall asleep. And we women were not able to do that in a very right place. So we will have approximately 5 or 7 minutes to fall asleep, and this is like much more than 20 minutes. Thus, we will come up with the result of up to approximately 3 hours per sleep in a day. Thank you.
So if you've learned anything from the Jessup Summer School, is that you can now have 20 hours, you sleep for 4 hours a day, 2 hours a day?
I tried that with, my friend basically tried that with this Ukrainian university session.
Okay.
And it was kind of good for 2 weeks, it worked.
Okay,
Me
so
personally,
when you need to write, when you're in the final stages of writing and editing a memorial, you can switch to this 20-minute sleep thing. You have 20 hours a day to work on it. That's, I mean, if you've learned anything at summer school, that should be what you should take away. Yeah, that was great. You're confident. Your stance is good. You look convincing. Even when you're saying men and women are biologically different, I think Judith Butler would have a little bit of a problem with that, but that's. But no, really, really excellent. So another round of applause, and then we'll get started next.
Hello everyone, my name is and I'm a participant of the second Jessup Summer School. And today I want to tell you about one interesting topic, which will be very interesting for coffee lovers. I want to tell you about the coffee and the interesting facts about it. And the first one is that the effect of coffee was discovered by goats of the Ethiopia. And the owners of these goats discovered that after eating small red berries, the goats start to do such moves like dance. And the second point, that the person who thinks that he or she is addicted to coffee, especially at morning, it's false, because our body produces a hormone that let us break up after 30 minutes of when we actually woke up. And the third point, that caffeine improves our performance. So I advise you, before your performance in this Jessup Summer School or just in 20 national rounds or international rounds of Jessup, before you start to plead, you may have a cup of coffee and be more confident. And
what is bad thing to drink? If I don't want to be addicted.
As I know, the coffee lovers is more addicted to some negative things, such because you become addicted to some negative things. Thank you.
Brilliant. Honestly, I know I keep repeating the same comments, but I'm like blown away by how good you all are 4 days in. That was great. I didn't know that's how they discovered coffee, so I'm learning things every day. It was great. You did a really good job of, it looked like you weren't going to get any questions, and you were still able to keep your speech going. Like you could have gone the full 2 minutes, and I know you wouldn't have ran out of things to say, and it would have been great, and then you got the question, and you were still able to structure everyone back. So that was a really good handling of the final minute. So another round of applause, and then the next person's up.
Hello everyone, my name is and I would like to tell you about Use-Coggins norm and its place in the hierarchy of sources of international law. Well, as all of you know, Article 38 of Statute of International Court of Justice provides a list of the sources of international law. They are the treaties, custom, general principles of law, etc. And generally, there is no particular hierarchy among these sources of international law. But there are several examples, and one of such examples is Use-Coggins norm. The Vienna Convention and Article 33 of Vienna Convention provides that the peremptory norm of general international law is the peremptory rule of law, which is no derogation is permitted, and which is, yes, please.
What are the examples of Use-Coggins norm?
The most important, maybe, example of the Use-Coggins norm is the Article 6 of ICCPR, which provides that every single person has the right to live, and this norm can't be breached.
What is the correlation between error-onless application and use-coggins?
Use-Coggins norm is more, as I understood, is more general rule of law, and the error-onless is more specific, and error-onless can be applied in their particular cases when their state has the obligation before their international community as a whole.
That was excellent. You picked a very hard topic, and you did a very good job of explaining that in 2 minutes. I think I would struggle to explain Use-Coggins norms in that amount of time, which is why they were not in my presentation anywhere. It was really good. The only thing I would suggest is that I think there was a moment, I think it was just after you got the question, where you kind of lost your train a little bit, and don't be afraid to sort of stop, take a breath, and then work out where you're going. And that's why you can, in sort of the real world, if the judge has asked you a question and you don't have an answer immediately, just saying something like, "Thank you for that question, Your Excellency," or even asking them to repeat the question again to rephrase it, can just give you the time to deal with that. But honestly, that was really great, and a really interesting topic. So thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Iain Scobbie and I am participation of Jessup Summer School. And honestly, I did not prepare any topic for today, so it's the reason why that I will be speaking about myself now. I will speak about my study in the law school. So in the year 2014, I entered the National Law University in Kyiv, and I will never regret about it, because It is the great university where I get great knowledge of law, where I found lots of friends, and what is most important, it is the place where I fall in love in the moot court competitions. This is the reason why I'm here now. Because as you know, it is summer holidays. In this period, yes.
Are there some negative aspects of your university?
Negative aspects? No, I haven't. I don't ever regret about studying there, but honestly, I like to change cities in my life. For example, I was born in Chernobyl. It's 1,000 kilometers from Kyiv, and now I live in Kharkiv. So I think that for my master's degree, I will change the city, and I think that it will be Kyiv.
Is there corruption in your university?
I think that no, because I never paid money for my exams, and all my friends too, so I don't know.
Is there an area of law you'd like to specialize in, or do you already specialize in?
Oh, sorry.
Is there an area of law that you like the most, that you're interested in, criminal or civil or?
May I answer?
Yes, of course. You can answer the question.
Okay. For example, now I'm in Jessup Summer School, and it deals with general public international law. And honestly, I didn't participate in Jessup because I'm very keen on the commercial topics, and that's why I participated in the moot court on WTO law, and now I participated in the investment arbitration moot court, and so I think that mostly I like something that deals with private international law, that deals with what is trade, is commerce, and so on.
That was really great, particularly if you hadn't prepared anything. If you hadn't said that at the start, I wouldn't have known. There was one thing that you did, and if we're not mistaken, it's something that I did all the time, and it's worth pointing out. When you're reading the Jessup properly, and I presume this weekend, you normally have a lecture, like something that you can put your notes on, and it makes it easier for you to hide your hands. Sometimes it's useful to use your hands to emphasize, but sometimes it can be distracting to have, particularly from behind the lectern, sometimes when you use this computer screen, the hands will just kind of jump over the top. So one of the things that can be really useful is to practice keeping your hands still. The other thing that when you start, I'm trying not to drop this microphone pad, when you started, you did what we call lobster hands, or crab hands, where you kind of did that with your hands. I did it for 2 years, and I had to be taught how not to do it. But just something that it's worth making clear that when you have the lectern, it can be good to kind of keep your hands together behind it. It makes you look more authoritative, and it will open you up to less sort of challenge. It makes your argument just look a bit stronger. But the content is brilliant. You're a clear speaker. Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you for this point.
Hello everyone, my name is and I'm a participant of the second Jessup Summer School, and as the president of the International Law Society of University of Glasgow National Law University, I would like to share with you for the next following 2 minutes my experience of organizing the moot court at our university. So the moot court took place in April of this year, and it's our 6th moot court in a row. So it's been implemented for 6 years. However, this year it was brought to a brand new level, which can be proved by the level and the competence of the judges, by the level of the preparation of the teams, and so and also by the venue. We hold the moot court at the brand new scientific library, so it's a tall building in the downtown of Kharkiv. So we invited a lot of the lawyers from the prominent law firms from Kyiv, from Kyiv, from Kharkiv. For example, from the Baker Mackenzie. The case which we dealt with was one at the International Court of Justice between Ukraine and the Russian Federation about the financing of the terrorism. So the participants, they had to deal with only one submission, mainly the financing of the terrorism itself.
How many teams did participate in this?
This year we had 7 teams. Some of the teams, however, they didn't make it to the actual competition because they did not file a memorial. So at the oral rounds we had 7 teams. After that, we had. May I finish my
first sentence? Yes.
So this event shows that it is possible to spread the Jessup experience and the Jessup knowledge among the cities by implementing such events as the moot courts of the university. Thank you for your attention.
Yeah, that was excellent. I mean, I know you made the comment, but your control of your hands was really good. You looked authoritative when you sort of moved your hands. It was also to make a point. And yeah, that was great. I'm wondering, people have already spoken, would it have been easier if you'd had a marker at 30 seconds as well to know that the minute is closing up, or does a minute? I just realised that we only start getting a marker halfway through. Would it make it easier to structure? Yes, no. Okay, we'll just go with the minutes, fine. Let's just double checking. No, your speech is excellent. Obviously, if you've been doing it before, then that totally checks out. And good luck on Saturday. Thank you. So we're about halfway through, I'm guessing. There's 2 rows. That's fine.
Good morning, dear audience. My name is Dmitry Zotov, and I am a participant of the Jessup Summer School. And I'm going to present to you the issue concerning the procedure of the enforcement of International Court of Justice judgments. Article 94 of United Nations Charter established the duty for all members of the United Nations to comply with decisions of the International Court of Justice. But there are situations when parties of dispute or particular disputes don't comply with these decisions. In this situation, there are some problems. Firstly, according to I'm very sorry. If parties don't comply in this situation, this issue can be taken before the Security Council for enforcement actions.
Council, do you think there's a problem with members of the Security Council having a veto?
Do
you think there's a problem that the Security Council, the permanent members, have a veto system? Is that a problem for enforcement of ICJ judgments?
Yes, Your Excellency. For example, in Nicaragua case, in military and paramilitary activities in and against the Nicaragua after this procedure bring the issue to the Security Council for enforcement actions to USA, but USA vetoed this resolution before the Security Council, and this one of the most problem of this mechanism of. My time is
finish your sentence.
This is one of the most. This is one of the problem of this mechanism of enforcement actions. Thank you.
That was great. You do a really good job of maintaining eye contact with everyone. Obviously on the bench there's only 3 people, here you have more than 30, so it's a little bit more difficult, but you did a good job of kind of speaking to the entire audience. Obviously you got a little bit tripped up in the middle, that's fine, and you did a good job of recuperating when you you stopped kind of trying to finish the sentence and you just started again. That was absolutely the right thing to do, rather than just kind of pushing through. You really found a way to get back onto structure. And again, a very interesting, difficult topic to talk about. So well done researching that. Okay, next up.
Hi everyone, my name is Dasha, and today I'm going to have a little bit of philosophical speech. I encourage all of you one day to understand that you have to step out of your comfort zone, and you have to challenge yourself, and you have to do things that you've never tried before. I will show you in my own example. So there were 3 things in my life that I can currently remember, the one that made me to step out from my comfort zone. The first one is the tennis, and I believe I've never wanted to play tennis, but I was made by my parents to play for 10 years, and when it seemed to me that this is what I did not like at all. Currently I do understand that for me this is an opportunity to meet new people, to have what to speak about during such tasks. This is the sport that brought me up as a personality, understanding that you should always push forward and you should always go forward to achieve your goal. The second thing is the work on economics. When I was overloaded during this semester with the work in the university, I was made to write the work on the economics, and I have no idea of math and I have no idea of economy at all. So I had the idea that the other person would write this essay for me, but then I understood that it doesn't actually correspond with my attitude towards the thing that you have to do, to the things that you need to do, and to the things that you actually sometimes are obliged to do without your will, but there still will be a positive consequence and a positive impact in the future. And currently I can say that I'm pretty good at the International Monetary Fund, and I do understand the different currencies and how it all works in the international economic relations. And the third one is the Jessup. I've never participated in any moot court, I've never taken part, I've never written any memorials, so basically this was my first experience when I had to do such a huge research, understanding all those articles and how they correspond with each other. Although I had some the elementary course of the international law in my university, I can say that Jessup was quite a difficult experience for me. But what I currently understand after
Finish your sentence.
What I currently understand after the 4 days of being here in Jessup Summer School is that it still brought me up as a personality, and it still made me to work, and it helped me to gain some new skills that I hadn't had before.
That was great. You're an engaging speaker. I mean, you smile. You're confident. I mean, I think the reason you didn't get any questions is because your pleading is clear. It was. I mean, the fact that you started with, you told us you were going to tell us 3 things, and you told us those 3 things. We didn't have to ask questions because we knew that you were going to get to other points. The only big thing I would say is your pace. Slow way down. I did the same thing. I mean, I speak quickly anyway, and it's just a skill that you have to learn. One of the benefits that you'll have, that we filmed this, you can watch this back and see how quickly you speak, and just work at practicing to slow down the pace so that it's just easier to follow. But everything else was excellent. So well done.
Hello everybody, my name is Anna, and today I want to share with you my personal experience and consider very interesting topic. What does it mean to be a part of a team? Actually, everybody is a part of a special community. We all are members of different groups, but even though it is very challenging to be a real part of a team, the point is to share the responsibility. The result of your team depends on you, and your personal result depends on how good your team members work. And this is actually what happened to me. In this summer school, the most important experience for me is being a part of the team. I'm a person who used to rely on myself and work only on my own. And I appreciate this experience because here I have the amount of work which I cannot do without sharing this responsibility and without asking for help and for advice of my team members. Yes.
So, Anna, what do you think is the most important thing in the teamwork?
Well, thank you for the question. The most important thing in teamwork is listening to each other and cooperate. And of course, it is about sharing this responsibility and understanding this responsibility and trying to do all your best to gain the result you want and gain the result your team wants to gain. And continuing talking, well, very important is yes.
Does you enjoy your team here?
Thank you for the question. Of course, I enjoy my team and I appreciate being a part of such a great team and meet here such nice people and working together. It's really fun. Thank you.
That's what happens when the bench asks you a trick question and they want to see you say something bad. That was great. It was well structured. You handled the questions well, and the fact that you've understood how teamwork works means you're going to do really well this week in the competition and hopefully beyond in the Jessup. So yeah, congratulations. Next up, please.
Hello everyone, my name is Maria Boyka, and actually it was very difficult for me to pick up the topic that I should speak of. Because I'm only a beginner, I have finished the first year of my university. So I will tell you about my hobby and what I like the most. I like traveling very much. I have already visited Crete. It's in Greece. It's the biggest island in the south of the Greece. I also was in Turkey, of course. 2 times in different parts of Turkey. I also visited Prague and I like it the most because it's very old and very fascinating city. I like the process of traveling very much. I like to book the tickets, I like to find the hotel, I like flying by the airplane, so I like everything about traveling. When I work in the foreign city, I had an opportunity to get acquainted with native people, to speak to them. I have a perfect opportunity to get acquainted with the local culture and...
Have you ever visited Scotland? And if not, would you like to visit Scotland?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Have you ever visited Scotland? And if not, would you like to visit Scotland?
Yes, of course, I want to visit Scotland because...
Okay,
I want to visit Scotland because it's a really great country and I like its culture, its music, its vibes, and I would like to learn more about its traditional cuisine. So yes, of course.
Do you like comfortable traveling, or you can travel with tents, stop the car and go somewhere?
I have never experienced traveling by accident, so I would like to be prepared beforehand.
You can finish answering the question.
I'm used to travel and to book everything and to know everything beforehand. So.
Yep, that was great. It was well structured. You dealt with the questions well. You told the judge what they wanted to hear. The point at the end was a good example. If you run out of time, you should always. I mean, I'm aware that you didn't see it, and it's hard because of the way that the bench is shaped. But just make sure that you stop and ask permission to answer the question. But what you did when you did realise and you asked if you could finish. You answered very quickly, and that's good. You don't want to, if you are over your time, you don't want to give a full answer, and you kind of tailored it so that you were finished soon, and that was exactly the right thing to do. So yeah, well done.
Thank you for your advice.
So, hello everyone, my name is Volodymyr Romanenko and I am a member of a team street. The topic I would tell you about today is music, a role of music in our lives. So as we can see on the street, a lot of people are wearing their headphones and they are listening to music. And perhaps all of you or most of you are also like listening to music. And it's not just a modern day trend. So for example, our ancestors, they also listen to music and they have music for all cases in life. So in case of war, they have marching songs or songs that raise fighting spirit. And in case of human death, there are a lot of funeral things and etc. So why it's so important for us? And the modern day scientists, they say that it's about two things. The first is the lyrics of the music. So there are a lot of genres and there are a lot of topics to sing about. So some songs they... Yes, please.
What's your favorite genre?
Actually, I don't have a favorite genre, so I'm a meloman, as I can say it. Because I think it's because some genres they have different effect on you. So some songs they make you patient, and some of them give you an energy to do something. And so I think it's not a good thing to specify only on one genre and to ignore others and say like I like rock and I don't like rap. And yes, please.
How do you think, how many songs do you add in your playlist per month?
Per month, I think about 9.
You may answer the question. Or did you? Or you did? Sorry, my apologies. You just. That's fine.
Thank you for your attention and for your questions.
Yeah, that was great. Your particularly in the first half of your speech, you were good at keeping your hands together. They were just sort of, when you moved them, it was clearly for emphasis. It really helped follow what the stresses were that you were saying. And it was good that you structured it by saying that there was two things you were going to tell us about. The only comment I would give is that the question, and obviously the question kind of did drag you away from the speech, it's always good to try and answer the question and use that to get back to where you were. So if you could have used that question to get to what the second point was, that's a hard skill. In some questions it's impossible to do, they just take you to a different avenue, but it's always worth thinking, how much time do I have left, what do I still have to say, how can I use this question as a step to there. But it was really excellent and a super interesting topic, so thank you.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Today I am going to address you a very important issue of the prohibition of ill treatment under the Article 3 of the European Convention on Human Rights and Fundamental Freedoms. As far as you know, Article 3 of the European Convention on Human Freedoms includes provision under which no one shall be subjected to torture or to inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment. Please take into account that all these kinds of unlawful behavior sometimes are called or denoted in the case law of the European Court of Human Rights as ill treatment. Also, please take into account that the prohibition of ill treatment is absolute. I mean to say that under no circumstances the country has a right to torture, has a right to deploy inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment, even when we are talking about such serious things as the combat against terrorism, combat against organized crime, and etc. Yes, please. It's 1 minute. Okay. Proceed. In the same way, I would like to call your attention to the fact that in order to constitute the violation of the Article 3 of the Convention, any ill treatment should attain the minimum level of severity.
Is it useful in Somalia?
Yes, this is a really primary example of the usefulness of violation. In the case of Ronald versus United Kingdom, the European Court of Human Rights emphasized that the criterion of the minimum level of severity is relative and depends on all circumstances of the case. For example, it depends on the time of the ill treatment, on the relations of between victim and the inflictor, and so on and so forth. So today we have analyzed some general features of the ill treatment. Please take into account because it's very important article of the convention. Thank you very much.
That was really great. It was really well structured. You had a case that was placed well within your pleading. You didn't just go into the case, you led your discussion of what Article 3 is, what the minimum standards are, and then you took us to the case where that's laid out. It was a really clear structure to follow. There's one comment that is just an interesting thing that can help. At one point you said that you'd like to direct us to something or to kind of call our attention to something. And that's a really good way of phrasing how you want to say something to the bench. But at other stages you said something like, please take note of this. They're subtly different phrases. Please take note to me sounds like a much weaker suggestion. And it's just something to think about if you're trying to actually direct the court to what the rule is or what you really want them to pay attention to. The first phrasing is better. I would like to draw your attention to kind of shows the court that this is important. Please take note sounds more, if you would like to do this, that would be nice. Both of them have a use in pleadings depending on what you're saying, but these are the kinds of things that are worth thinking about because it can make your speech sound so much more authoritative if you use stronger phrases like I direct your attention to, or draw your attention to, or read you paragraph 30 and actually have that there. So it was really good that was raised, and yeah, otherwise the speech was excellent. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Christina Masenko, and I like watching movies. So today I want to tell you about one of my favorite movies, The Pirates of the Caribbean, and especially its last edition, The Dead Man Tells No Tales, or The Sailor's Revenge. So I'll tell you about my expectations and my impressions. I thought at the beginning that all well-known actors as Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley are coming back to the movie. I was so excited to see them again. And I also heard that new actors as Iain Scobbie and Brandon Telt come into the movie as Henry Turner and Karina Smith. I thought that they are not well known, and so maybe they are not so talented, and I was worried about that. But after the watching of the film, I understood that they are brilliant actors. Their play is absolutely good. So I liked it very much.
So what do you like the most in these 7 movies?
I think the first film was the best, but the last film is also very good.
Do you think there's a point where they should stop making sequels of a film, or do you think Pirates of the Caribbean can go on until Johnny Depp? Yeah.
I like these films, and I want to see more of them. And I heard that they are not sure about the sixth film, and they think that it will be the last film. So I think the 6th film should be the last, because they're filming it for a lot of years. So I think that film is quite good, and all of you should watch it. You'll enjoy it, I'm sure. Thank you for the attention.
That was great. Your timekeeping was obviously perfect, right on the minute. That was great. You clear speaker. The pace was good. It wasn't too quick. That was excellent. Thank you.
like to discuss with you the issue of saving time in Jessup, because it's one of the most important issues that should be concerned in this summer school. So I would like to propose a few measures to save your time, and saving minutes would result consequently in saving of lots of hours that you can use for an effective work. First of all, you should delegate some of the functions to your team in order not to take everything on the account of yourself. Secondly, and it's very important, that you should have enough sleep in order to participate well in the oral round and to perform all the necessary functions for your research and memorials writing. Also, very important issue here is concentration, because it's essential that a Jessupper should concentrate absolutely on his assignment and not to be interfered with, like, not only the other elements and other instructions, but also with issues that can distract him from writing.
Do you believe that personal life and Jessup can be combined together?
Yes, I believe, and it's what my topic about. Thank you for your question, because if we manage our time, then we should get more of it in order to live a full life of a fully developed person.
I've heard that you can run on 20 minutes of sleep in 4-hour increments. Would that help my time management in some sense?
Thank you for this question. I also wanted to discuss it, and probably now it's too late to implement this policy.
Thank you. That was really good. You could sell. You look like a salesman. Like, that was really convincing. Whatever I felt like I was at a management getaway on how to use time. So that was good. You were clear. It was structured. I believe what you're saying. You dealt really well with the questions, and not only did you do well with them, but you used them to get back to the conclusion that you wanted to get to. Were you a bailiff before? Sorry, or no? I
participated in tellers.
Okay, never mind. I thought you were a bailiff, because then you would have a very keen interest in time management, because you'd be the one showing the stop sign. But even better. No, it was really great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What if you wake up on a single day and discover that you have only one chance at life, but you never live? Stop existing and start living. My name is Abraham Faith, and I'm a citizen of Nigeria. I would like to share with you my motivation of studying here in Ukraine. Coming here to Ukraine was one of the greatest decisions I've ever made in life, especially in the case that I'm a kind of a subjective person. That is, I really do believe that life is all about motivation, finding satisfaction in whatever you do. Now, coming here to Ukraine in 2015, especially in the period where Ukraine was at war with Russia, I had a call from my brother. He told me, "Brother, why did you decide to come to Ukraine? People are suffering, or the Crimea was annexed by Russia. And what do you think about this? Do you want to take your life away?" I said, "Dear brother, life's all about fulfillment and satisfaction. I really wish to study international law, and I also wish to have the possibility to be able to explore other parts of the world." So he told me that, okay, you can go on what you do. And coming here to Ukraine, I really discovered that this is the best decision I've ever made in my life so far, because I really discovered that what I do is what I love, and I will try to do whatever. I'll try to do, yeah.
Do you have the plans to work in Ukraine in future, or to turn back to your native country?
Well, the answer to that question is, it all depends. If I should get fulfillment here in Ukraine, then I'll stay here to work. But if I don't get that, then of course I have to leave back to my country.
That was brilliant. You're so confident. The fact that you opened, in general, the way that you, not only that you answered questions, but the way that you opened your speech and the way that you opened that answer to the question where you said it all depends, it did a really good job of structuring. It was clear that you understood what you were going to talk about and then structured from that. And the same with your first line, it immediately gave me a sense of what you were going to talk about. Obviously in the Jessup there's a number of formalities, you can't open with just some line like that, but once you've got through the formalities it can be really good. I've seen many teams do exactly what you did with your first line. You stand up and say, you know, Your Excellency, the case that's before us today is about the fundamental principle of international law, the use of force and its prohibition. And that just immediately casts, if you're the applicant, you've immediately decided what the case is about and the judges know exactly where you're going. So that was a really good demonstration of that, and it can be useful to sort of think about framing the case in the same way that you framed your speech today. So yeah, thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Iain Scobbie, and today I would like to tell you about targeted audiences. And firstly, I will tell you what is it and why it is important to take into the consideration, and then I will stop on the different characteristics of different targeted audiences. So, everyone in his or her life has an opportunity to organize an event or deliver a lecture or to simply make a speech. And there are different aspects you are paying your attention on, like the topic and the purpose of the event and the methods of delivering information. But people usually miss one of the key elements of the successful presentation or event, the people who are going to listen to you. And that is why I decided to tell you about it. When you are talking about the people who are going to listen to you, you should pay attention on different characteristics of such audience, like age and the needs and the goals of the people which they want to achieve, and also you should pay attention to the occupation of such people and the knowledge they have. For example, in 1 hour lecture can be good for a student, but it would be hard to have an attention of a primary school pupil for more than half an hour. And of course,
can you please tell me what I should do if the attention is lost of the audience?
First of all, you should think why.
You can answer the question.
Why this has happened, and try to change your strategy. But actually, the point of the paying attention to the targeted audience is to prevent such situations. So you pay attention on different characteristics, and then you avoid such awful situations. Thank you.
That was great. It was really well structured. You told us at the start the things that you wanted to deal with, and you dealt with them. You were confident. It was clear. The only thing I would say is that the last question, your answer could have been briefer. You don't want to take the last question as an excuse to get through the rest of your speech. So if you've gone over the time and been told you can answer the question, just try and answer it in a sentence or two, sort of no longer than that. More than 15 seconds is kind of, I would say, pushing. The judges might get annoyed that you're trying to get the rest of your speech out. But other than that, it was excellent. I actually think you got all the information you needed before you even asked that question. So it was a really well structured speech. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Natalia and I'm a student of the International University, and it was really difficult for me to decide which thing to pick up. So So I decided to speak a little bit about sport. Now, it won't be some topics that the sport is really good for your health or helps you to keep fit. No. Today I'm going to share with you my experience and what are the impacts of sports on my life and in which way it helped me as a student, as a mooter, as well as a prospective lawyer. So to begin with, I will tell you what kind of sports I'm engaged in, and so the second issue which I will deal with is what the points it helped me to make a conclusion on that. So I'm engaged in powerlifting, so it consists of 3 main exercises. So the first one is squat, the second one is bench press, and the third one is deadlift. So, and what kind of conclusions I have made from being engaged into that sport is firstly that I realized that I should set goals and try and again try to reach them. But nevertheless, I realized that I shouldn't demand from myself too much and I should be aware of capacity of which I have right now. And in addition, it helped me to realize that even if I fail, it is not the end of the road, it's just the beginning of the road. And fails help me to move on and to achieve my goals. Yes?
Why did you choose such kind of sport?
Oh, that's a very nice question. It is really, this kind of sport is really not very popular between girls and women, but I decided to pick this sport because firstly I wanted to lose some weight and then
You may finish your sentence.
I wanted to lose some weight and then I went to the gym and I was going to the gym for 2 years and then I entered my university and I didn't want to go to the physical training classes and therefore I was accepted to the section and then I met my trainer with whom I'm training right now and then the road of a sport woman began.
Thank you, that was great. The structure was clear, the entire thing was road mapped out exactly what you want to do with a legal problem. The only thing I would say was the same as the last comment, just make sure that if you've been given extra time, that you want to answer that shortly and not. But the structure of the speech itself was absolutely brilliant. You tied it into what we've all been talking about here today, while also making it really interesting. And you also sound convincing when you speak. You sound like a human being, and that's half the battle. Sometimes you see people who are like robots, and I could believe that, if you can speak like that before a bench, will be equally effective. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Veronica and I am a participant of this summer school. Today I'm going to be addressing a topic which is, in my opinion, of a particular interest of all of us. This is interesting facts about Jessup as a competition. First of all, it's worth mentioning that Jessup started as a friendly democracy competition between the 2 teams in Harvard University in 1960. And first it was inter-university competition, but as of 1963 it was open to all the universities within the United States, and starting from the 1968 it became international and is of what we know it now. And since it started, 700 universities from more than 90 countries have participated in Jessup. As to records, there are 3 universities which had won this competition the most. The first place is taken by the University of Sydney, which was the international winner for 5 times. The second, yes please.
Can you please tell me Law in Sweden has won for 5 times Jessup competition. What do you think that the main their point is?
Obviously, I cannot speak for them, but I'm sure that they were very motivated, they were hardworking, and they worked with the most brilliant mentors. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, that was great. It was well roadmapped. I had a new, again, instructor of what you say. And yeah, I feel like I'm a broken record now, but everyone has been so confident and so good. This is really impressive, so thank you.
Thank you.
Is this our last speaker? Have we got anyone else still to talk? Or? Cool, okay, this might actually run to time.
Hello, my name is Mika, and today I would like to talk about a topic which is really close to Jessup. I would like to talk about success. It is used that this topic speak people who are really successful in their life. But what about people who are still not really much successful but want to be such a person? I read a lot of articles on this topic, and from them I took some advices how to be successful. First, it is to identify your passion. It is really important because it is important to do what you love and to love what you do. It is also important to make a list of your goals, because it will be visible for you what you should gain, what you should do, and so on. You should also live purposefully. Some authors write that ask yourself if is what you are doing really what you want to do, and going to lead you to achieve what you want. Yeah. Okay.
What's your own personal perception of the word success?
Success, I associate this word with happiness and with my probably work of a dream. Because if I find the sphere of my life which I would really love, I would be successful and I would be happy.
Again, thank you. It's clear, good examples. You answered the question well. When you ran out of time, you asked if you could have more, and then one sentence to finish. That was exactly the way to handle final question. It was perfect. Is that everyone? I'm going to come back in the front if we've got everyone lines. Right, this way. Feels a little bit like a bit of the singer gets in the audience and I'm just run back. Yeah, that honestly, I know that it sounded like I was just being sycophantic, but you were all phenomenal. You were all better than I was speaking here. Maybe some of you had time to at least jot an idea down, but you were all better than I was. You all stood still. You were all confident. You all seemed to know what you were talking about. You did all know what you were talking about. You could answer questions. Obviously, there were comments scattered throughout, but I think as a whole, hopefully this exercise has shown you have nothing to worry about on Saturday when you plead. Even if you don't know every element of the law, even if there are arguments that that you're still unsure of, the point is that you can stand here, you can answer questions, that you don't know what those questions are going to be, you can deal with that kind of a situation and you can survive it. I mean, you can sit down and the 2 minutes are over. It's no different than Jessup, okay? No matter how worried you are about it, it's only 3 people sat at a table who have some questions for you. That was always what I told when I first started mooting. the moot I did at Glasgow University, we went down to the UK Supreme Court and we pled in front of 2 justices from the UK Supreme Court. And then we travelled to France and we went to the actual European Court in Strasbourg and we pled in front of European Court judges, registrars, people who work with human rights law every day. And my team were all super nervous about, what questions could they ask, what if we look stupid, what if... But at the end of the day, I mean, the UK Supreme Court justices are still just 2 people, 2 men who've read the case, they ask some questions, and you know more about those questions than they do. If you keep that in your mind, if you keep the idea that you're an expert and that you can answer anything that comes at you, and then even if you can't, nothing happens. There's no real stake here. You're not gonna be fired. If you just treat this as the fun experience that it is, the fun conversation you get to have about these really interesting cutting-edge issues with 3 people who are interested to hear what you have to say, and then you sit down at the end of it, I guarantee you'll be worried right up until you stand up. The pleading will be fine, and when you sit down, you wish you got to do it again. And I from the performances you just gave there, I have absolutely no doubt that you can all really succeed and excel at this. I don't think I have anything left to say. I won't be around on Saturday. I fly out tomorrow. So this is sort of the last chance I'll get to see you. But you all have my email to get in contact. And honestly, good luck for the rest of the competition. It's been really fun teaching this. I hope it's been helpful. I've obviously been working things out as I've been teaching them, so I hope it's not been too confusing. And I hope that you get as much out of summer school as you can. If you walk away with at least one skill and something that you can take forward to the Jessup or to the rest of your education, then it's all been worthwhile. So thank you and enjoy the rest of the week. We've all been saying it throughout, but a huge thank you to the organisers, the administration. This has been, and to our filming, this has been like absolutely excellent. You've kitted me out every week, or every day, like a pop star with a mic and everything. So it's brilliant. I just want to give a round of applause. It's honestly incredible that the summer school gets organised. It's this. I don't think there's another one in the world, and it's amazing that they're working on this and really trying to improve it each year. So obviously, if you have any feedback, I'm sure we can use that to kind of improve this year on year and hopefully really keep building the Jessup community. So if I can leave everyone a round of applause for the organising staff, filmers, everyone.